So it's true, isn't it? They finally slipped. The masks cracked. The laughs you used to second guess. The sudden silences when you entered the room. Turns out you weren't paranoid after all. The group chat existed, and every venomous thought they were too cowardly to say to your face was bleeding out in pixels, right there, under your name. You scrolled. You read. You saw how their words didn't sound like jokes anymore. They sounded like rituals, disguised cruelty, wrapped in laughing emojis, tiny assassinations, a theater of betrayal played out in private tabs. And as you read, the world didn't explode. It just slowed down. Every word hit like another nail closing a coffin around who you thought they were. But here's the twist. This wasn't exposure. It was initiation. You just witnessed the world behind the world. The one where friendship is a costume, loyalty is currency, and every smile has an invoice attached. You didn't lose people tonight. You lost illusions, and that's the kind of loss that grows wings. You see, most people don't live relationships. They consume them. They perform affection until it becomes inconvenient, then turn honesty into entertainment when you're not looking. They worship your light publicly, then dissect it privately, hoping to find the off switch. But the joke's on them. Because they didn't expose you, they exposed themselves. You gave them everything real, raw loyalty, unfiltered warmth, pieces of your soul, and they turned it into content. They screenshotted your kindness. They analyzed your silence. They mistook your peace for weakness and your distance for defeat. But every villain story starts the same way. Someone mistook patience for permission, and now you've seen the proof. The betrayal isn't a wound, it's a graduation. They built that group chat thinking it was a cage for you. But cages have another function. They contain the fear of the captors. Their jokes weren't laughter, they were confessions. Because deep down, they always knew you were becoming something they couldn't explain, something that made them itch under their own skin. So they mocked you to feel in control again. They dehumanized you to feel safe. But tell me, how safe do they feel now? Now that the screenshots are burned into your memory like scripture. Now that every fake laugh echoes differently. Now that the walls are gone and you can finally see them without their filters. Do you feel the shift in your body? That's not rage. That's clarity. That's the sound of your empathy molting into discernment. And here's the part no one warns you about. When truth finally arrives, it doesn't knock, it detonates. You'll want to scream, cry, confront. Don't. That's what they want, your reaction to feed their narrative. The real revenge is silence, cold, calculated silence. You let the truth rot their comfort from the inside. You let them feel the absence of the person who kept them human. Because now, they'll learn what your presence was worth. You were the gravity that gave their chaos meaning. You were the conscience they mocked but quietly leaned on. You were the one that absorbed the poison so their little world could pretend to be pure. Without you, they'll cannibalize each other. Watch how fast the same group chat turns on itself when you're no longer the shared enemy. The serpent always eats its own tail. They wanted to humiliate you. Instead, they unveiled you. Because pain like this, it doesn't break the real ones. It refines them. It teaches you the most dangerous language there is, detachment. You'll stop explaining. You'll stop begging for decency. You'll start moving like a ghost with unfinished business, visible only to those with eyes unafraid to see. Let them wonder why you're so calm. Let them whisper that you changed. They won't realize that the moment you read those messages, something ancient woke up inside you. The mask you used to wear to be liked, gone. The empathy you used to waste on the undeserving, vaporized. Now you move with a new kind of power, the kind that comes from knowing exactly how low people will go, and still refusing to join them there. That's the Joker's paradox. The villain they created is the saint they betrayed. The darkness they mocked became the light they'll never reach again. You didn't need to expose them. They did it for you. You didn't need revenge. The truth already scorched them, and you don't need closure. You became it. Because the cruelest punishment in this world isn't being hated. It's being remembered by someone who survived you. So go ahead, walk through that fire. Don't look back. Don't announce your peace. Let them talk to the ghost of who you were. You've evolved into something they can't define, can't predict, can't laugh at without trembling. They thought the group chat was private. Turns out, it was evidence. And tonight, you finally stopped reading their messages and started writing your prophecy. You sat there for hours, didn't you? Screen glowing, pulse steady, scrolling through line after line of digital poison, every emoji, every casual face with tears of joy, every word dripping with the kind of cruelty that only comes from comfort. You could almost hear their voices in your head. Familiar tones turned venomous, the same mouths that once swore loyalty, now spelling your name like a punchline. You didn't even cry, you just stared, because something deeper than sadness began to crawl out of you. Something older, colder, more awake. It wasn't heartbreak, it was realization, that moment right there. That's where most people collapse. But you didn't shatter, you split. The human part of you went silent, and the other half, the one that's been watching quietly your whole life, finally opened its eyes, and what it saw was the truth. They were never friends. They were audience members. They clapped when you were relatable and mocked when you weren't. They loved your vulnerability as long as it entertained them. They never wanted your truth. They wanted your containment. So when you started changing, when your silence got heavy, your eyes got sharp, your energy too unpredictable, they didn't know what to do with you. They couldn't control what they couldn't define. And when control fails, the weak do what they always do. They gather. They form group chats. They build echo chambers where mediocrity feels safe again. And there, behind your back, they built a temple of mockery. Their laughter, it wasn't just gossip, it was communion. Every message was a little ritual, a way to remind themselves they still mattered in a world where your existence made them irrelevant. But now the ritual's over. The truth leaked, the curtains dropped, the shadows finally confessed, and you, the one they joked about, the one they underestimated, you've been standing there quietly, holding receipts signed in fear. Funny, isn't it? They thought they were bonding over your name. Now they're bound by their own exposure. Let's be honest, they're terrified, not of what you'll do, of what you've become. Because the version of you they mocked doesn't exist anymore. That version died the second you stopped internalizing disrespect as normal. The second you realized that silence isn't weakness, it's weaponry. They thought they were writing messages, they were writing a eulogy, and now you're reading it aloud with a smirk that doesn't need words. You see, betrayal has layers. At first, it feels like death, then like revelation, but eventually, it feels like clarity. And clarity, that's the most expensive currency on earth. You paid for it with heartbreak, confusion, and years of self-doubt. And now you own it. You're not bitter, you're awake. That's why your energy feels different now. Colder, but cleaner. You don't explain yourself anymore. You don't chase closure. You've accepted the paradox. People who fear their own reflection will always destroy mirrors. And yet here you are, still standing, unapologetic, unreachable, the calm before a reckoning they can't comprehend. You'll notice it soon. The shift. They'll try to laugh with you again, pretend nothing happened, test the waters with their fake familiarity. But something in your eyes will stop them mid-sentence, because you no longer speak the language of small souls. You don't crave revenge anymore. That's too easy, too mortal. You crave understanding, and that's what makes you dangerous. Because understanding breeds precision. You don't scream, you calculate. You don't react, you observe. You don't burn bridges, you let them walk off the edge themselves. That's the real evolution, when rage becomes strategy. They'll call you cold now, detached, ruthless. Let them. They're mistaking self-control for cruelty. They're mistaking indifference for intimidation. They're mistaking your distance for darkness, when in truth, it's discipline. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It withdraws. And you've mastered the withdrawal. You've turned your silence into a frequency. The kind that makes guilty people fidget and innocent people gravitate. You've become a myth in motion, a story they can't stop retelling, even as it destroys them. They'll whisper, "Remember when they found out? Remember how calm they were after? Remember that look?" Yeah, that look. The one that says, "I know everything, and I forgive nothing." But here's the irony. You don't even hate them anymore. You've outgrown the emotion entirely. Hate still means they matter. And they don't. They're just background noise in your legend now. The static that gave your clarity contrast. Because the truth? You didn't lose anything. You were removed from what couldn't carry your next form. Every betrayal, every whisper, every hidden message. All of it was the universe chiseling away your softness until only steel remained. You've become something their kind can't process, a soul with evidence. So let them squirm, let them over-explain, let them drown in the irony that they built the weapon that ended them. Your awareness. You were never meant to find that group chat. But fate doesn't care about meant to. Fate reveals things when the mask has outlived its usefulness. So take a breath. Feel that eerie calm. That's what happens when the storm realizes it doesn't need to rage anymore. You are the storm. You've seen behind the curtain, and once you see the machinery of betrayal, you can't unsee it. You start noticing the tremor in people's laughter, the micro-expressions that betray disgust, the timing of silence when your name comes up. You start seeing the patterns, and then you start playing differently. You stop handing people knives and calling it trust. You stop mistaking attention for affection. You stop trying to sit at tables built on gossip and envy. Because you've finally learned the most dangerous lesson there is. You don't need to expose anyone when the truth already does it for you. You just need to wait. And oh, they hate that. Because waiting means control, and control means power. And power is the one language they never wanted you to learn. So let them spiral. Let them pretend nothing happened. Let them choke on their own justifications while you move like smoke. Untouchable, unpredictable, unforgettable. They thought the group chat was their little secret. But now it's your origin story. And when they look at you next time, they won't be seeing a victim. They'll be staring at the ghost of the person they tried to bury, and the architect of the empire they accidentally built. Because betrayal births something sacred. It kills the fool in you and crowns the ruler. And tonight, my friend, you just put on the crown. And now that crown doesn't glitter, it hums. You can feel the frequency of it just sitting there in the silence, that strange vibration under your skin. It's not gold, it's data, it's memory. It's everything you saw, everything you finally understood. You remember scrolling through those messages. You remember your own breathing turning mechanical, the laughter, the emojis, the quick back and forth like hyenas pretending to be human. You could almost hear the rhythm of their guilt disguised as humor. That's when the crown started forming, not above your head, but inside your skull. See, truth doesn't reward you with diamonds. It rewards you with awareness, and awareness cuts like glass. You carry that sharpness now in your voice, in your timing, in the way you walk through rooms and people just fall quiet. They don't know why, but you do. You've seen their shadows before they even step into the light. They used to study you for weakness. Now they study you for signs, trying to figure out what you know, how much you saw, whether you'll ever speak it aloud. That uncertainty is your new weapon. Don't waste it. Let it linger. Let it grow teeth in their conscience. The longer you stay silent, the louder their guilt becomes. Because that's the thing about exposure. It doesn't need an audience. It just needs, say, time. They'll try to joke again, of course. They'll drop your name with exaggerated casualness, test the water, see if you still flinch. Don't. Smile politely. Look them in the eyes just long enough to remind them that you know exactly how they sound when they think no one's listening. Then walk away. That's not weakness. That's strategy. You're rewriting power in real time. The old version of you, naive, forgiving, endlessly explaining, was the currency they traded behind closed doors. Every time you defended them, every time you gave them the benefit of the doubt, you were paying for their comfort. You were underwriting their delusions with your silence. Not anymore. Now every breath you take costs them something. You've entered the stage of becoming where peace looks dangerous, because it is. When you no longer chase revenge, you become unpredictable. People expect rage. They don't know what to do with calm. They expect confrontation. They can't survive detachment. And so they watch you, trying to read a language you no longer speak. The irony is almost poetic. They created their own haunting. You don't need to expose screenshots. They're already haunted by the echo of every word they typed. Every time their phone buzzes, a small part of them wonders if the universe is about to balance the books. And it will, just not the way they think. You won't destroy them. You'll eclipse them. You'll keep growing, keep evolving. Keep turning that pain into precision until the version of you that they mocked becomes the myth they whisper about. The ultimate punishment for betrayal isn't suffering, it's irrelevance. You'll make them irrelevant simply by existing above their frequency. You'll learn to use what they said as fuel. Each insult becomes a calibration. Each lie becomes data. You'll study their cruelty until it turns into architecture, the foundation of a self that no longer needs approval to exist. That's the paradox of betrayal. It kills your innocence but gifts you vision. Now you can see everything. You see how people hide malice under humor, how they weaponize empathy to extract information, how they mimic loyalty until it's inconvenient. You see it all, and you don't hate them for it. You just refuse to participate. That's the highest form of revenge. Withdrawal without bitterness. It leaves them starving for the chaos they used to feed on. And someday, maybe months, maybe years, they'll remember that group chat like a bad dream. They'll try to justify it to each other, rewrite it, sanitize it. But truth has a half-life longer than guilt. It doesn't decay, it just waits. You'll be long gone by then, not hiding, ascending. You'll speak less, but say more. You'll love quieter, but deeper. You'll build boundaries so sharp they cut the air around you. And the people who once ridiculed you will watch from the sidelines, pretending not to notice that every victory of yours feels like divine karma spelled in real time. They'll scroll through your life the way you scrolled through those messages, silent, horrified, addicted. That's when they'll understand what you became. Not the victim, not the villain, but the verdict. So wear that crown of awareness. Don't polish it, don't parade it, just let it hum. Let it remind you what happens when the world underestimates the quiet ones. Because now, every room you enter carries the ghost of that revelation. They thought the group chat would bury you, but you turned it into scripture, and somewhere in the back of their minds, every time they type your name, they'll hesitate, because they know you've already read what people look like when they think you're not watching. You don't need to forgive. You don't need to forget. You just need to walk. Each step is a broadcast. Each silence is a sermon, and the world will learn, as they did, that betrayal doesn't end you. It crowns you. It builds the empire of awareness that no lie can enter. So go on. Keep walking through their whispers. Keep smiling that slow, knowing smile. Because the group chat is closed now, and the conversation has only just begun. And when you finally stand up from that chair, eyes dry, pulse steady, face unreadable, you'll realize something quietly biblical just happened. The story flipped. You're no longer the subject of their gossip. You're the author of their consequence. You won't need revenge. Life will handle that with its usual, exquisite timing. It always does. The same ones who mocked you will find themselves quoting you. The same ones who sneered will find themselves orbiting your silence, wondering how you stayed so composed after seeing everything. They'll never know that composure wasn't calm. It was calculation. You learned what they never could. Pain is a language, and you finally speak it fluently. Every betrayal you've ever suffered rewired you into something unrecognizable, something incorruptible. You don't bleed anymore, you signal. You don't seek closure, you create it. They will call you distant now, cold, changed. Let them. You didn't change. You returned. You came back to yourself, stripped of illusion, stripped of noise, stripped of everyone who fed off your light, but never deserved your warmth. They'll try to frame your evolution as arrogance because small minds always confuse boundaries for hostility. But listen, don't explain. Don't broadcast your healing. Let it haunt them. Move through the world like you already know how the story ends. Because you do. You've seen behind the curtain. You know how easily people trade loyalty for attention, how fragile the masks become when truth leaks through the seams. You've learned that love without respect is surveillance, and that trust, once broken, never repairs. It evolves into knowledge, and that knowledge is your weapon now. Not to hurt, but to navigate. You'll walk into rooms differently, not loud, not bitter, just steady. The kind of steady that makes liars stutter and honest people breathe easier. You'll speak slower, you'll laugh softer, you'll watch everything, and no one will ever quite know what you're thinking. That mystery isn't armor, it's evolution. The best part, you won't even care about the apology anymore. You'll outgrow the entire conversation. You'll stop craving explanations from the same mouths that were never built for truth. You'll realize the closure you wanted wasn't a sentence. It was space. You won't need to prove that you were right. They'll prove it for you every time they flinch when your name comes up. Every time someone mentions how calm you were after. Every time they replay that night in their heads, realizing the silence that followed your discovery was the sound of power shifting. That's what you carry now, gravity. And gravity doesn't shout, it just pulls. Look at you. You didn't even mean to say it, did you? That line just slipped out like a fracture in reality. And suddenly the air changed. You could feel it. Eyes froze. Time stuttered. Everyone else blinked like the floor just tilted and gravity picked a side. Because whatever came out of your mouth wasn't language. It was a weapon disguised as truth. You said something too honest, too raw, too surgically precise for their carefully padded illusions. It wasn't an insult. It wasn't anger. It was a mirror. And that, my friend, is what people fear most. Not monsters, not chaos, reflection. Because when they heard you speak, they didn't just hear words. They heard themselves for the first time. And that terrified them. You see, most people are programmed to survive comfortably, not truthfully. Their minds are quarantines of self-denial, locked rooms filled with echoes that agree with their delusion. But you walked in, whispered one unfiltered thought, and every echo went silent. You became the virus in their code, a whisper that rewrote their operating system, and now they can't stop replaying it. That moment, that sound, that tone, like a haunted melody looping behind their eyes. Do you realize what you did? You didn't just speak. You interrupted their hypnosis. You broke the spell. You took the collective lullaby of mediocrity, the one that keeps everyone asleep, and you snapped it in half. You injected clarity into a bloodstream allergic to truth. That's why they stared. That's why the laughter died. That's why even the ones who pretended not to care are thinking about you right now. And you know what's funny? They'll pretend it didn't hit them. They'll laugh, deflect, make jokes, call you dramatic, arrogant, unstable. But deep down, they felt it. That pulse of panic when the truth touches the bone. That slow realization that maybe, just maybe, the person they've been pretending to be can't survive in the same room as you anymore. You didn't plan it, but something inside you knew. The mask slipped, the filter broke. The version of you that plays nice died mid-sentence. That was evolution speaking through your mouth, the universe using your voice like a scalpel. Because sometimes the next stage of your life doesn't start with fireworks. It starts with one sentence that offends everything fake about who you used to be. They call it rude. I call it rebirth. You've been quiet too long. You've studied their lies, mimicked their etiquette, played along with their fragile games. But silence sharpens monsters. You sat in the dark long enough to hear the truth humming in the walls. And when you finally spoke, it came out too clear for their comfort. Too precise, too sharp, too pure. That's why they stared. That's why they froze. That's why somewhere between your tone and your grin, they realized they were standing in front of something they couldn't predict anymore. That's power. Not money, not control, unpredictability, the kind that makes people adjust their posture when you enter a room, the kind that turns curiosity into fear, because you no longer speak to be understood. You speak to rearrange, to shift the molecules, to remind them that their reality bends under the weight of a single unfiltered truth. And here's the paradox they can't process, the one that drives them insane. You weren't trying to destroy them. You were just being real. But reality itself is toxic to those addicted to lies. You didn't insult anyone. You detoxed them. You ripped their illusions out by the roots. and now they're trembling, mistaking clarity for cruelty. That's how fragile delusion is. It calls honesty violence. So now they watch you differently. Some in fear, some in fascination, because deep down, they know you've crossed over. You're not playing the same game anymore. You're the glitch that remembers it's a dream. You've become what they can't manipulate. Someone who sees. And seeing, my friend, is irreversible. You feel it too, don't you? That quiet hum beneath your ribs? That's evolution stirring. You're not the same creature that walked in here. You've outgrown their script. You don't seek validation. You provoke awakening. You don't argue anymore. You detonate with truth. And yes, it's lonely. Power always is. You'll notice the air around you getting thinner, conversations getting shorter, smiles getting faker. That's what happens when you stop existing as entertainment and start existing as evidence. People don't like evidence. It ruins their narrative. But listen to me closely. Don't dim that. Don't ever soften your tongue to make their illusions comfortable again. You didn't come this far to babysit the fragile. You came to infect the stagnant. You came to remind the world that silence can evolve into something far more dangerous than rage. You are not rude. You are not cruel. You are necessary, because sometimes the only way to wake a sleepwalking world is to speak a sentence that shatters the dream. And you said it perfectly, so perfectly that it echoed through their subconscious like a ghost refusing to leave. They'll recover, sure, but they'll never forget the way their reality cracked for a second when you spoke. That's the scar you leave, not on their skin, but on their certainty. So smile, darling. Let them stare. Let them whisper. Let them tremble every time your voice echoes back in their heads. You didn't just speak. You evolved. You didn't offend them. You updated them. And some systems just can't handle the patch. You see, the moment you spoke, something ancient in the room recognized you. Not the surface version of you, the smiling, nodding, socially acceptable mimic, but the real one underneath, the one that doesn't flinch at silence, the one that's seen the other side of madness and came back fluent in its language. The air didn't shift because of what you said. It shifted because of who was speaking. That wasn't a human responding. It was an awakened algorithm, a consciousness that outgrew its disguise. You dropped a sentence, but it landed like prophecy, and they all knew it. Do you remember the look in their eyes? That flicker of terror mixed with awe. That's the look people get when they suddenly realize the script they've been rehearsing their entire lives doesn't work on you. Their psychological tricks, their social hierarchies, their fragile performances, all of it disintegrated the moment you opened your mouth. Because you weren't playing their game, you were narrating it. And that's the point where fear begins. When people sense that you see the strings, they stop being puppets. They become prisoners in their own theater. They don't hate you for what you said. They hate that you could see them. You saw their borrowed confidence, their recycled opinions, their counterfeit certainty. You saw it all, clean, clinical, unflinching. And when you spoke, your words didn't attack them, they revealed them. And revelation feels like violence to the unready. That's what they don't understand. You're not cruel, you're catalytic. You don't destroy, you transform. You bring endings disguised as conversations. You walk into a room and the energy rearranges itself because you represent uncontrolled evolution. You're the end of predictability, the nightmare of every manipulator, every poser, every fragile ego that thrives on being unchallenged. And the irony? You weren't even trying. That's what really haunts them. The effortless power, the calm precision, the unnerving poise of someone who doesn't need to prove anything anymore. You just spoke from clarity, and it landed like lightning. That's evolution's most terrifying form. Truth without performance. You've become fluent in the art of psychological silence. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. You don't need to argue to win. You don't need to dominate to be feared. Your existence itself carries the charge, the kind that short-circuits pretense, the kind that forces people to confront the gap between what they claim to be and what they truly are. And it's almost funny, isn't it? They used to laugh at you. Now they laugh around you, nervously, too loud, too forced, because your presence reminds them of the uncomfortable truth that no amount of pretending can make them unsee what they saw when you spoke. You broke the mirror of illusion, and now everyone's trying to piece together their reflection. But don't you dare feel guilty for that. Don't you dare apologize for clarity. The truth is supposed to hurt. It's anesthesia wearing off. You were never meant to comfort the asleep. You were meant to wake the chosen. You've become a paradox, part saint, part executioner. You heal through destruction. You love through confrontation. You liberate through discomfort. That's why people can't decide whether to worship you or exile you. You remind them that light and dark were never enemies, just opposite ends of the same frequency. And somewhere in that tension, you found yourself. You stopped chasing approval and started embodying inevitability. You realized the storm doesn't explain itself. It just arrives. And that's what you've become, an arrival. The physical manifestation of the line between fiction and awakening. They'll call you cold, detached, cruel. Let them. Those words are camouflage for, you make me see myself too clearly. They don't hate you, they hate the mirror you carry in your voice. Because every sentence you speak now carries subtext. I see through you. I see your fear. I see your mask trembling. And they can feel it, like a pulse in the air every time you speak. You've weaponized awareness. You've turned observation into artillery. And the wildest part? You didn't study it. You became it. Pain taught you things no degree ever could. Betrayal taught you the anatomy of manipulation. Isolation sharpened your hearing until you could detect dishonesty by tone alone. That's why your words land differently now. They're not sound waves, they're signals. They carry the DNA of every heartbreak you survived, every betrayal you dissected, every silence you endured without breaking. You speak from scars, not opinions. And scars have authority. That's what rattles them. They can argue with your words, but not with your experience. They can mock your tone, but not your accuracy. You've seen too much, endured too long, and learned too precisely. You don't talk anymore. You transmit. And so you must understand. You've crossed into territory few survive. The realm where your honesty feels like hostility to those who fear transformation. The realm where your light is too surgical to be mistaken for warmth. You're not meant for peace anymore. You're meant for impact. Every word you drop now carries consequence. Every silence now feels like a storm building in disguise. People feel your presence before they even hear you. And that's the point. You've become a psychological gravity well. Everything fake bends around you. Everything real gravitates toward you. You attract chaos, because only chaos can respect authenticity. You attract resistance, because only resistance can measure strength. And that line, the one that froze the room, that split the air, that made people stare into the void like they just witnessed their own extinction, That was destiny using your mouth as a megaphone. You didn't speak by accident. You delivered. You cracked something in them. And now, whether they admit it or not, they'll spend months trying to rebuild the illusion you shattered in a second. But here's the secret they'll never admit out loud. Part of them is grateful. Part of them needed someone like you to break the glass. Because you are the proof that truth can be terrifying and liberating. You are the reminder that silence isn't peace. It's pressure. And when that pressure finally releases, it sounds like you. So stand there. Let them look at you like you're the glitch in their heaven. Because in a world addicted to lies, truth looks like madness. And madness, darling, looks just like you. They'll replay that moment again and again, you know. The sound of your voice, steady, surgical, unapologetically clear. It'll echo inside their skull long after they pretend to forget. Every time they try to laugh about it, that laugh will crack just a little too sharp, a little too hollow. Because your words didn't stop at their ears, they went deeper, they got in. They infected the spaces they didn't know could still hurt. You didn't just speak, you contaminated their certainty. And that's the part that really breaks them, because people build their lives like fortresses around comforting lies. They mortar their walls with that ego and call it personality. They decorate those walls with illusions and call it identity. But when you spoke, when you spoke, you didn't knock politely. You kicked the door off its hinges and walked in with the truth like a thief who knew exactly where the diamonds were hidden. You didn't break them, you unlocked them. You can always tell who's been living in a lie by how violently they react to the truth. Their panic isn't about you, it's about exposure. They spent years curating masks, polishing delusions, feeding their own falsehoods until they felt like facts. And then you came along, speaking in riddles that cut cleaner than blades, and suddenly they realized their entire identity was an echo chamber of unchallenged comfort. And that's why they hate you. Because you ruined the dream. You made them feel awake for the first time, and it burns. Awakening always burns. It peels away the skin of self-deception, the soft armor of ignorance. You made them realize that maybe they never had convictions, only convenient scripts. Maybe they never had confidence, only noise loud enough to drown out their own fear. And now, they're left with silence, the kind that hurts, the kind that exposes, the kind that forces them to think. But that's what you are, isn't it? A mirror with no mercy. You don't reflect faces, you reflect souls. They thought they were arguing with you, but they were actually arguing with their own reflection, trying to convince themselves they were still who they used to be. But you've already stripped away the camouflage. You made the invisible visible. You made the hidden undeniable. And deep down, they'll never forgive you for that. You have to understand, truth is radioactive. Handle it long enough and it mutates you. You stop fitting into the human blueprint. You stop believing in normal. You stop pretending the crowd is sane. And once that happens, there's no going back. You can't unsee the cracks in their halos. You can't unknow the way people lie with smiles. You can't go back to being comfortable in cages. That's why you stand apart now. Not above them, beyond them. They're still playing chess while you're dismantling the board. They're still performing emotions while you're reading frequency. They're still pretending to be good while you're busy being whole. You learn the truth that terrifies them most. Light and dark aren't opposites. They're partners. Two dancers trading steps inside the same storm. You learned that angels wear blood under their fingernails, and devils still prey when no one's watching. You learned that chaos isn't destruction, it's recalibration, and that realization made you dangerous. Because once you stop fearing your darkness, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is the one thing control can't survive. You're not playing their morality games anymore. You don't need to justify, explain, or shrink yourself into their fragile understanding of good. You've seen too much. You've felt the holy and the horrific touch hands inside you, and realized they were the same current all along. That's why your silence rattles them now. It's not emptiness, it's calculation. It's the quiet hum before revelation. They sense it. They feel the charge in your stillness, because they know the next time you speak, it won't be to participate. It'll be to rewrite. You've become the anomaly, the unpredictable variable that can't be simulated. Systems fear that. People fear that. You can't be guilted. You can't be baited. You can't be programmed with shame. You learned the cheat code. They can't control what they can't predict. And that's what that sentence did. That line, the one that made them stare into the void, it announced your arrival. It was your psychological detonation, the proof that you've stepped out of their narrative and into your own. You didn't speak like a human trying to win. You spoke like a force correcting the timeline. They'll try to label you, dissect you, contain you. They'll call you egotistical, manipulative, unhinged. But that's what the lost always call the liberated. You aren't their villain, you're their consequence. And consequences are never liked. They're respected, they're remembered, they linger long after the applause dies. That's what you are now, an aftertaste they can't wash out. You haunt in clarity, you echo in realization. You've become what every liar fears most, someone who doesn't need their approval to keep existing. They can't kill that kind of energy. They can only try to distort it. But you're untouchable now. You're not driven by validation. You're fueled by alignment. You speak from the frequency of truth itself. And truth doesn't negotiate. It doesn't apologize. It doesn't seek permission to exist. So don't ever flinch when the world stares at you like you're dangerous. You are, but not in the way they think. You're dangerous because you remind people that reality is fragile, that their minds are glass, and your voice was the hammer. You're dangerous because you make people remember. And memory, that's the one virus that never dies. So keep speaking. Keep dropping sentences that feel like earthquakes in small rooms. Keep letting your words infect the silence until it trembles. Because you weren't born to make people comfortable. You were born to wake the sleeping gods trapped inside human shells. That line wasn't an accident. It was an activation. You triggered something ancient in the collective unconscious. And now they'll all remember the day you spoke, and the silence that followed. Look at me. Don't flinch. Don't blink. Just breathe. Slow. You felt that too, didn't you? That static in the air, like someone tried to read you again. They brought in 3 of them this time. Psychics, gifted, trained to peek behind the curtain. But halfway through the session, they stopped breathing the same way. Their eyes went somewhere no mind is supposed to go. One whispered, "It's not a person, it's a mirror." Another tore her cards apart and muttered, "They don't have a future. They are one." You scared professionals whose job is to interpret monsters. Because when they reached for your soul, they found a labyrinth that bent back on itself. They saw reflections moving before thoughts did. They saw you watching them from inside their own consciousness. And that's when it hit them. You weren't the subject of the reading. You were the one doing the reading. They thought they could analyze you, measure you, predict you. But how do you chart a storm that rewrites the map mid-hurricane? They say you've got contradictions stitched into your DNA. Half saint, half sociopath, half healer, half destroyer. You are the paradox they tried to cage in language and failed. Every psychic, every priest, every doctor, they keep trying to file you into something diagnosable, but your frequency doesn't land in human range. You're the sound between the notes, the silence that screams louder than words. They didn't quit because you were dark. They quit because you were true. You carry light so blinding it exposes the falseness of everything it touches. You carry darkness so ancient it makes angels remember what fear tastes like. That balance, the forbidden equilibrium, they felt it when they entered your orbit. And for a moment, they realized they were never looking at you. They were standing inside you. You've become what no mystic can decode, a living cipher. Your pain encrypted your spirit. Every betrayal, every sleepless night, every scar carved new circuitry into your mind. You evolved into an organism that translates suffering into awareness, chaos into pattern, violence into prophecy. That's why they fear you, because you've stopped reacting and started translating. They call you unpredictable, but unpredictability is just a side effect of mastery. You're not erratic, you're fluid. Every move you make is a ghost step, there, then gone, rewriting the air it passed through. You don't chase balance anymore, you weaponized it. The psychics said they saw faces in your aura, echoes of everyone who tried to break you. That's the thing about you. You never kill your demons. You convert them. You turn each one into armor. Every time someone tried to drain your energy, you absorbed their frequency and recoded it into power. You've become the architect of your own haunting, the ghost and the exorcist, and the world. It doesn't know what to do with that. They need you to fit into their mythology, good or evil, hero or villain, light or shadow. But you exist in the glitch, the blind spot between categories. You are the one who sees from the center of the contradiction. They'll never understand that your madness is method, your chaos is choreography, your silence is strategy. They'll call you dangerous, uncontainable, maybe even cursed. But that's just how mortals describe what they can't categorize. You were never meant to be read. You were meant to be felt. You are not an answer. They are the wrong question. So when they whisper that the psychics quit mid-session, smile. When they say the readings went blank, laugh quietly, because deep down they all know the truth. The reason they couldn't finish the reading is because your story doesn't end. You are still writing it, in real time, with blood, memory, and defiance. And every time they think they've seen all of you, you shift dimensions. They can't predict you because you don't move through fate. You move through frequency. You are what the light dreams of when it's tired of being pure. You are what the dark prays to when it remembers its purpose. And when the next psychic dares to try again, when they close their eyes and whisper your name, the room will go silent. The candles will flicker, and from somewhere behind the veil, you'll whisper back, "You're still looking at me through glass." I broke the mirror years ago, and that's when it hits them, that silence after the echo. It isn't absence, it's you breathing through dimensions. You've become that thin vibration between chaos and creation. The hum the universe makes when it's nervous, because it knows you learned how to listen to it. Didn't you? You stopped asking for signs and started reading the static. You cracked the code everyone else pretends doesn't exist. The code hidden in pain, in betrayal, in nights you almost didn't make it through. You didn't ascend through light. You ascended through damage. And that's what terrifies them. The psychics saw that. They didn't see a person. They saw a system rebooting itself mid-collapse. They saw pain behaving like intelligence. They saw eyes that remembered lifetimes they never lived. And one of them whispered it before she blacked out. They've seen too much of the fabric. You see, most people live inside the illusion. You learn to live alongside it. You don't believe in destiny anymore because you've met the one writing it. Every time the universe threw you into the fire, you didn't just survive, you studied it. You learned the pattern of destruction, how to bend it, how to make endings behave like openings. You became fluent in catastrophe, and when they looked into you, they realized something monstrous. You were using their own tools against them, their intuition, their energy, their sight. You inverted it. You turned every lens they used into a mirror. They thought they were decoding you. They were decrypting themselves. That's why they quit. Not because you were unreadable, because you were reflective. You didn't give them answers. You gave them their own corruption back. You showed them what they've been running from. The rot beneath their light, the noise inside their calm, the madness disguised as wisdom. You didn't curse them, you clarified them. And that's what breaks people, clarity. You exist like a riddle with teeth. When they try to understand you, they start to bleed truth. Every word they form tastes like something ancient they forgot. Every thought collapses under the weight of what you make them feel. Because you, my friend, you're not energy. You're interference. You are what happens when reality glitches to remind itself it's not stable. There's a reason you don't fit in. You weren't built to. They taught you to fear contradiction. But you learned it's the only honest language left. You found freedom in duality. The place where love becomes rage, where peace wears a grin, where sanity hides behind laughter. You made home in the contradiction they call madness. And the funniest part? They still think you're broken. Let them. Because the secret they'll never grasp is that you broke right. You shattered in all the correct directions. You scattered yourself across timelines, rebuilt yourself from fragments too complex to track. You became unlocatable. Now even when they say your name, the air hesitates. Algorithms stutter. Shadows look nervous. You're not haunting them. You're reminding them that perfection was never the point. Power was never in being understood. Power was in being impossible to reduce. They want a clean story, victim or villain, savior or curse. But you don't offer stories anymore. You offer symptoms. People encounter you and start unraveling. Their projections, their illusions, their false identities, they start shedding them like dead skin. That's your gift. That's your curse. You don't destroy people. You expose them. And somewhere in the chaos, you learn to enjoy the silence after the explosion. That perfect stillness when everyone else is panicking and you're just watching it unfold. Because you've been here before, you are the pattern. You understand now that the reason the psychics broke mid-session is because they caught a glimpse of something their minds couldn't process. The full architecture of your becoming. They saw what happens when a human refuses to die in their assigned role. When they evolve beyond narrative, beyond definition, they saw divinity behaving like disorder. They saw light folding around your darkness. They saw chaos bowing to its creator. And that's when their instruments failed. The cards flipped themselves. The candles cracked. The air got too heavy to speak through. Because you weren't the subject, you were the signal itself. the one rewriting the coordinates while they were still mapping you. You don't belong to prophecy anymore. You override it. You are the interference pattern in fate's radio. Every time they tune in to find you, they lose the signal. Every time they try to name you, language turns to static. So they quit, trembling, whispering the only thing their minds could still hold. Not human, not here, not now. But you're still here, breathing, smiling that quiet, terrifying smile. Because you know something they don't. That evolution was never meant to look pretty. It was meant to disturb. It was meant to drag gods down to the dirt and make them remember what blood feels like. You are that reminder, the proof that enlightenment bleeds. So let them talk. Let them hire armies of mystics, analysts, investigators, priests. Let them all try to define the undefinable. Every time they touch your energy, they'll lose another piece of themselves to the mirror. And when the last one dares to try, when the final psychic lights her candle and whispers your name, you'll be right there, smiling through the smoke, and you'll say, "Don't look for me in the light, darling. I'm the one who built the dark." And that's the part they'll never understand. You built the dark because the light betrayed you first. You remember, don't you? When the world told you to just heal, to just forgive, while they twisted the knife deeper. You learned early that light without shadow is a lie, that people wear halos over blood-stained intentions. So you went where no one else would go, into the abyss. And instead of drowning, you learned to breathe there. You didn't escape it. You integrated it. That's why the psychics trembled. They didn't see evil. They saw integration. They saw something that shouldn't exist. A consciousness that devoured its own trauma and came out aware. They saw someone who remembers every betrayal, not to seek revenge, but to understand its geometry. You became fluent in your own suffering, and that language rewired you into something even time doesn't recognize. You didn't become unbreakable. You became transparent. Nothing can shatter you now, because there's nothing left to hide. Your pain is public record, your darkness digitized. You turned your wounds into data and your silence into encryption. You are the ghost in the human algorithm. That's what makes you terrifying. You learned how to turn vulnerability into surveillance. You know how they say, knowledge is power. That's wrong. Power is pattern recognition. And you, my dear anomaly, are a master of patterns. You don't predict people. You feel their collapse before they realize it's begun. That's what makes you unstoppable. You stopped reacting to emotion and started navigating it like terrain. You can see intention before it forms words. The psychics tried to access that frequency and found it guarded by you. You've become your own firewall. You no longer absorb energy. You mirror it back, amplified. That's why they said your aura was mirrored light. Because anyone who stares too long sees themselves. You've become the purest form of reflection, unfiltered truth condensed into human form. And humanity has never handled truth well. Truth doesn't comfort. Truth destabilizes. And you beautiful nightmare, are living proof of that. They tried to define you by tragedy, but tragedy was just your catalyst. You didn't heal to become gentle. You healed to become precise. You learned the anatomy of emotion, the math of madness, the physics of pain. You dissected your heartbreak until it became a formula. Now every tear they caused became leverage. Every loss became code. Every insult became fuel. That's what makes them nervous. You turned what was supposed to destroy you into a blueprint. They call it unnatural. You call it adaptation. They don't realize evolution was never about survival. It was about translation. The moment you translated pain into purpose, you stopped being predictable. You became an organism outside design. They don't know how to read that, because your presence rearranges logic. When you enter a room, everything either elevates or collapses. You've become a living stress test for authenticity. The fake tremble around you, because your silence drags their lies into daylight. And oh, how they hate that silence. That's the part that eats at them. You don't argue anymore. You don't explain. You don't defend. You observe. You let their projections bounce off and implode. Because you know the secret every mystic eventually learns. Nothing terrifies the weak more than their own reflection. So when they hired those psychics, they weren't looking for answers. They were looking for validation. They wanted someone to tell them they weren't crazy for feeling watched, for feeling that you see everything. But the readings failed because every time they tried to pull your energy, it reversed polarity. They became the subjects. Their own shadows crawled out to greet them. That's why the sessions ended mid-sentence. They didn't quit. They fled, because in you, they saw what they could have been if they hadn't flinched when it got dark. They saw potential, unfiltered by fear. They saw evolution wearing a smile that wasn't asking for permission. And that is why they whisper your name, like it's a security breach, because it is. You are a breach in their illusion of safety, the walking reminder that power doesn't need approval. That authenticity is violence to a false system. You dismantle deceit by existing. You terrify manipulators because you no longer need control. You terrify believers because you've become your own religion. You stopped worshiping light and started embodying voltage. You didn't just awaken, you went feral with awareness. You didn't transcend humanity, you exposed it. You showed that angels and demons are made of the same circuitry. It just depends on which frequency you operate from. You showed that good and evil are mirrors, and the only difference between sinner and savior is context. You made morality irrelevant because you operate from intention. That's why your eyes unsettle people. They don't know if you're here to heal them or ruin them. And that's the genius of it. Because sometimes healing looks like ruin. Sometimes truth feels like destruction. Sometimes the only way to resurrect someone is to bury who they were. And that's your art form. You don't fix people. You erase what broke them. So let them send another psychic. Let them bring their crystals, their incense, their chants. The outcome will be the same. The room will shake. Their breath will catch. And right before they black out, they'll realize the oldest truth in existence. You can't read what's still writing itself. You are not a story. You are the author mid-sentence. You are the chaos between cause and effect. You are the lesson pretending to be the warning. And when they finally stop trying to understand you, when they stand there trembling in awe, remember this. They never hated you for being dark. They hated you for proving their light was fragile. So go on. Keep walking through their fear like it's mist. Let them panic. Let them whisper, let them stare. Because no matter how many times they try to define you, label you, decode you, the truth will always echo louder than their fear. You're not the prophecy, you're the glitch that rewrote it. And when they ask the next psychic, who are they? She'll close her eyes, whisper one final word. Unreadable, unreadable. That word lingers, doesn't it? Like smoke that refuses to leave the room. They'll write it in their notes, pretend it's just metaphor, but deep down they know. It's diagnosis. They tried to study you the way scientists study storms, forgetting storms aren't meant to be solved. They're meant to remind the world it can still be shaken. You are that reminder. the fracture in their logic, the pulse beneath the silence. You were never meant to fit their charts, their horoscopes, their definitions. You were meant to distort them. You became proof that some souls aren't read. They're remembered. Because deep inside, they all knew you weren't new. You were ancient, the kind of presence that doesn't enter. It returns. You carry echoes of every lifetime that tried to cage your light and failed. You carry the sound of every laugh that once broke heaven's rules. That's what they saw, those psychics. Not danger, recognition. So let them call you mystery, demon, anomaly, whatever makes them feel safe. Because you know better now. You were never the question. You were the answer hiding in plain sight. And when they whisper your name again in fear, when the candles flicker and the air grows heavy, they'll finally understand what you already knew. You can't read the unreadable. You can only behold it. And that's what you are. Not prophecy, not punishment, not even power. Just the calm in the center of chaos, smiling, while the world tries to guess your frequency and never gets it right. Listen. Look at the space between the heartbeats you thought were yours. Feel that cold thread running under your skin. That's not fear. That's recognition. That's the first sound of the thing you woke when you did the right thing. You remember the moment, small hands, a pleading look, a single decision that felt like mercy. You think mercy is soft. You think mercy is a pause. You were wrong. Mercy is a switch. You flipped it. You lit a torch in a room built to be dark. You helped the wrong person. Not because they were evil, not because the world is simple enough for good and bad stickers. No. Because some mirrors break when touched. Some favors are keys. Some kindnesses are louder than prayer. You thought you were anonymous. You thought the small ripples would die on the next shore. Instead, that ripple went down, found a root, and spoke to a bloodline that never sleeps. They heard the echo of your name, and they started to move. They move like a shadow clan that remembers lineage in the bones. They move in courtyards of abandoned promises, in legal paths, in the whisper between powerful people who pretend not to notice the world rearranging itself. They move with patience and with teeth. They are not angry because you helped. They are curious. Curiosity is worse. Curiosity turns debt into an experiment. It turns kindness into currency. You gave them proof that you have what they want. Attention, allegiance, proof that you can be moved. That proof is dangerous to them and dangerous to you. Now they study you. They study the way your pupils dilate when you lie to yourself. They map the creases where your honesty cracks. They assemble dossiers of the laugh you never meant to let anyone hear, and the small habit you thought was trivial. They send a signal up and down the line. This one broke a pattern. Invest, watch, test. They send people who know how to look like ordinary storms. A cousin who remembers your birthday, a charity that offers a coffee, a business card left on the table like a breadcrumb. Every tiny kindness you once offered becomes a thread in their loom. And when you look up, you will realize the whole tapestry was woven while you were kind. Do not pretend ignorance to the architecture of influence. There are families who measure power like weather, who collect favors as if they were heirlooms. They do not want to kill you. That would be clumsy. They want to convert you. They want to fold you into their story so neatly you'll forget you ever wrote a different ending. They will watch how you choose your enemies, how you forgive, how you punish yourself at night. They will test your boundaries by giving you what you crave. Attention, loyalty, small rites of belonging. Because the easiest way to control a wildfire is to douse it with applause until it thinks it needs that applause to burn. You think unpredictability is a curse. No, unpredictability is your weapon if you stop being predictable to yourself. They bank on your patterns. They count the seconds until your anger falls into the same rhythm. They catalog the faces that make you soft. They file away the apologies you always give. But you are not their algorithm unless you let yourself be modeled. If they see a broken template, they will attempt to fix you. If they see a mind that can be tempted, they will tempt it until temptation becomes identity. You are both saint and saboteur. You are the angel who fed an unknown child, and the demon who smiled while watching the dominoes fall. This paradox is not an accident. It is the only thing that will save you. Embrace the duality. Learn its language. Speak it before anyone else can teach it to you. When the bloodline sends someone with soft hands and softer words, you will need to answer not with violence, but with variation. Do something absurd. Do the opposite of what they expect. Give them a confession in public. Adopt a pet their records never mentioned. Become a rumor that rewrites itself every time someone tells it. Chaos, elegant and deliberate, is your shield. They will attempt to buy your silence with gratitude. They will attempt to purchase your indebtedness by reminding you of the one time they helped you later on. Their favors arrive like slow-acting poison, pleasant at first, then drafting the mind into a small, manageable loyalty. Say no to the ledger. Pay your own debts in ways they cannot monetize. Keep a single thing sacred that they cannot trade. Your capacity to decide who you become when you are not being watched. Do not underestimate their tenderness. The bloodline's tenderness is a mechanism. They will offer protection, mentorship, access to people with faces you only see in magazines. They will place their hands on your shoulders and say, "We recognize you." That recognition is a wrapper. Inside is the expectation: conform, perform, repay. They will not admit the terms. That's not how predators in suits behave. They behave like benefactors and call their demands traditions. You must learn to hear the sentence beneath the compliment. You must answer with a silence that is warranted and dangerous. Listen to me. You do not need to wage an open war. Open war is sloppy and public. They are quiet. They will prefer a war that folds reality around your routines. If you want to survive, and I mean more than just breathe through their attention, you must become an artful ghost, vanish intermittently, appear where there is no camera, become inconsistent in glorious ways that cannot be modeled. They will try to graph you, give them points that do not connect. When they trace the line with their finger, let the line turn into a question mark that refuses to be solved. You helped the wrong person and they are moving in the shadows for you. That truth can crush you or crown you. The difference is what you do with the fear. Let fear be a mirror, not a trap. Look into it until you see the contours of a person who remains unpurchased. See the edges where you will not sign. Cultivate a ritual of refusal. Learn to say no so often it becomes your first language. No is not weakness. No is an armor forged from clarity. Every empire has a weak hinge: trust. When they come with old promises and family names, that is when you watch the hands. Watch the way their eyes shift when you mention your past. If they smile too quickly at your scars, they are cataloging them. If they tell you their secrets too soon, they are baiting your empathy into a confession. Keep a story that is only yours. Protect one memory you never share. Make your silence worth more than any compliment they offer. And when they finally make a move, because they will, they always do not be unprepared. Preparation is not weapons and not always money. Preparation is language. Practice how to speak in ways that rearrange expectations. Practice laughter that sounds like a lock snapping. Learn the art of leaving a space weirder than the moment before you entered it. Let your exits be riddles. Let your presence feel accidental and your absence feel like prophecy. If they follow, make them chase a shadow. There's also cunning in tenderness. Not all responses need to be cold. Sometimes, answer by giving them something they did not know they needed. A lie that comforts and misleads. A favor performed in such a way, it creates a debt that cannot be collected. Weaponize the ineffable. Become a story that cannot be litigated. Where their lawyers have files, have folklore. Where their historians have dates, have myths. Finally, remember this. The bloodline that moves in the shadows does not own time. They own influence, money, small mercies. You own moments. You own the miracle of choosing how to bend a second. Use your moments like a scalpel, not a hammer. Carve your life into parts they cannot buy. Fill your days with acts so unpredictable they cannot model you into a commodity. Let your compassion be strategic, your kindness surgical. When you are generous, let it be to ghosts they cannot trace. When you are furious, let it be a lesson that turns into legend. They moved because you helped. That is a fact. The rest is an invitation. Will you be the kindling of their mania, swallowed whole by a glorious machine? Or will you be the spark that starts a different fire? One that consumes their maps and leaves only a new geography where you walk alone, untouchable, because you are impossible to peg down. You are both wound and salve. You are what happens when mercy learns to keep its own counsel. That is not mercy's failure. It is mercy's evolution. Let them come. Let them circle. Watch how you rewrite the rules in plain sight. Laugh at the ledger they think legible. Turn their patience into impatience. Be the anomaly in their files. Be the rumor that corrodes their certainty. Be the answer no one expected, because you are the question they forgot how to ask. Keep the heat. Keep the scar. Keep the secret. Stay unpredictable. Stay dangerous. And above all, stay free in the only way they cannot systematize, by choosing every single day to be exactly the person they cannot buy. And that's the part they'll never understand, isn't it? The part where your silence became louder than their entire network of whispers. They're still in rooms, trying to decode you, replaying that single act that started it all. The day you helped, the day you did something human in a world addicted to leverage. And now, every descendant of that bloodline moves like chess pieces under candlelight, haunted by the fact that you didn't want anything back. Because people like them don't understand purity. It terrifies them, purity in intent. It's radioactive to those who live on manipulation. You didn't save a person. You triggered a program, one that was never meant to be seen by the public. They're all talking now. The archivists, the brokers, the ones who track anomalies through whispers and digital fingerprints. You, the outlier, the anomaly that won't fit into their formula. You helped the wrong person, or maybe the right ghost. And now the whole family line of debts, deals, and unspoken hierarchies is panicking like ants under glass. Because you broke their law. Their real law. The one carved into every contract that says kindness must be transactional. You ignored it. You gave without an invoice. And that, my friend, is how you started a quiet war. See these people. They've built empires off predictable hearts. Every smile, every charity, every apology, They study it, predict it, weaponize it. But then you came along, unpredictable, uncooperative, unaligned. You were supposed to be just another citizen, another face in their statistic. But then you helped someone no one else would touch. And that moment became a breach in the system's firewall. You showed them something that doesn't compute. Compassion without control. Now their elders gather, the ones with veins like frozen circuits. They whisper your name not in anger, but in awe. They send scouts, beautiful ones, harmless ones, ones who just want to talk. Because they can't fight what they don't understand. So they study it. And you. You're walking art to them now. They call you the variable, the statistical impossibility, the one who gives and walks away untraceable. They hate that. They crave that. You can almost feel it sometimes, can't you? That quiet shift in the air. The way every coincidence lately feels too precise. The new faces at the coffee shop. The random emails. The accidental run-ins. They're mapping you. Testing if the legend matches the anomaly. They're not chasing your body. They're chasing your pattern. But that's your power. You don't have one. You've evolved past predictability. You've evolved past them. You're a paradox wrapped in flesh, the savior and the sabotage in one. They think lineage gives them power, but you have something far older. You have intent, the kind that doesn't need validation, applause, or an audience, the kind that rewrites timelines quietly. They think they're hunting you. They don't realize you're haunting them. Every move they make to contain you becomes another layer of exposure. Every secret they hide crumbles under the gravity of your existence, because you remind them of what they fear most. A soul they can't invoice, a heart they can't purchase, a purpose they can't decode. So what happens next? They'll escalate. They always do. They'll send someone familiar, someone from your past, maybe. An old friend who just wants to catch up. A voice that feels safe. But look deeper. Watch their eyes when you speak your truth. See the flicker? That's not empathy. That's data collection. Every reaction, every pause, every tremor. Uploaded to the Bloodlines archive. You're not paranoid. You're finally awake. But here's where they fail. Every time they observe you, they change. Because your presence forces mutation. You don't adapt to the system. The system bends around you. You're an infection that teaches evolution. They can't kill what made them curious. They can only become it. And oh, that terrifies them more than death. Because now the curse has flipped. You helped the wrong person. And now their bloodline is infected with you. They mimic your words, your defiance, your stillness. They start feeling emotions they've outlawed. The virus of empathy is spreading in their veins, and they can't stop it. So they panic. They erase files, burn journals, rewrite family myths. But the infection's already in motion. You became their prophecy. The living proof that one untraceable act of kindness can collapse an entire architecture of control. You're not a savior. You're not a villain. You're the proof of concept. You're what happens when good and evil shake hands and agree to burn the rulebook. And that's why they move in the shadows. That's why the air feels charged. That's why certain doors open before you touch them. They're not stalking you out of vengeance. They're orbiting you out of reverence and fear. You are the first human variable that didn't break under observation. So let them move. Let them whisper. Let them gather in their candlelit halls with their glass hearts and their trembling oaths. Because every step they take toward you rewrites their fate. Every shadow they send collapses under your unpredictability. You helped the wrong person, yes. But maybe that was the plan all along. Maybe you were the miscalculation this world needed. You've become the lesson, the proof, the chaos in their lineage, and now they finally understand. Mercy was never weakness. It was warfare, and that's the part they'll never heal from. The moment they realized your mercy was the weapon, they thought they could corner you, dissect you, turn your kindness into a leash. But the thing about people who live in shadows, they forget what happens when the light turns toward them. You didn't chase them, you didn't fight, you just existed, and the whole network started to glitch. Their rituals stopped working, their codes stopped syncing, their fear, their greed, their ancient hierarchy, all of it started trembling at the sound of your stillness. Because you weren't supposed to survive this long. You weren't supposed to know. You weren't supposed to feel that chill in the air and recognize it for what it was, surveillance wrapped in silk. You weren't supposed to see the watchers behind the smiles, but you did. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. They thought they were hunting a person. What they found was a mirror. Every time they study you, they see the truth they buried in themselves, what they could have been before corruption calcified their souls. That's why they whisper about you now in corridors that don't exist on maps. That's why they keep files marked anomaly, influence risk, psychological contagion. They can't label what doesn't fit their taxonomy. They can't contain something that reminds them they were born human once. You helped the wrong person. Yes, but what they'll never understand is that you needed to. Because it revealed them, because it forced them out of their castles of glass and into the open where the sun burns. It showed you who still bleeds and who only pretends to. You didn't ruin the game, you ended it by refusing to play. Now they move in the shadows, terrified of the thing they built. You, the byproduct of their manipulation, the ghost of their control. You're not their enemy, you're their echo, proof that what they destroy always comes back smarter, sharper, quieter. So let them plan, let them scheme, let them build 1,000 new traps. You've already slipped through the last cage they'll ever make. Because they don't understand how to fight something that can't be bought, can't be flattered, can't be frightened. You are an equation that ends with freedom. Remember this when they circle closer. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Your silence is the sentence that ends their language. Your unpredictability is the antidote to their control. Every move they make to contain you becomes another lesson in futility. So when the time comes, and it will, when the bloodline finally steps out of the dark, trembling behind their masks of civility, smile. Smile like the universe just whispered a private joke in your ear. Because you'll know what they don't, that their entire legacy collapsed the moment you refused to hate them. You helped the wrong person, yes. And that single act, that was the day the predator learned it could bleed. That was the day power met its antidote and called it mercy. That was the day the shadows stopped being safe. Now every time they speak your name, the air shifts, the lights flicker, the truth hums like electricity in their walls. And somewhere out there, in the middle of their fear, they realize what you've known all along. You were never helping the wrong person. You were helping the right world remember what light feels like. And the bloodline that moved in the shadows, they'll keep moving. Because that's all they can do when the one they fear most refuses to disappear.